Okay, let me see here. Hold on. Mhm. All right. I think am I live? I am live, I believe. Okay. How are you? All right, everybody. It is Jorie Houlihan here, and it is Topic Tuesday. I'm your guide for the dopamine deprived. I come on here live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time to talk about something ADHD related for a few minutes. So, my new podcast has launched. Yay! And the newest episode came out today, and I interviewed a fabulous woman whose name is Rana Belinky, and she has a business called Workflows by Rana, and she is a productivity expert. And I encourage you to go listen to the entire episode because she's wonderful. But there was something she mentioned in that interview that I wanted to expand on a little bit more because it was something that I didn't even think about it until she mentioned that we do this, which is so um, we have a tendency to, when we're looking for productivity things, right? Whether it's planners or digital apps or whatever, we tend to we tend to buy the thing and then try to force ourselves to fit that thing. And she was like, that you're doing it backwards when you do that. So, think about like how many times you've bought a planner thinking this is the thing that's going to change my life, but it doesn't really work for how your brain works, right? Or you think this digital app is going to be the thing that changes your life, but you have terrible out of sight, out of mind problems. So you get the app and then never think about it again. Ask me how I know this. So, why do we do this, right? We have this pattern of we see the system, we see, oh, it works for all these other people. It will definitely work for me. We buy the system and then we either try to force ourselves into it. And if we do that, we usually fail because it isn't built for us. And then we blame ourselves, like somehow we are the problem, right? And we just keep repeating that. I literally could probably, maybe not literally, but I could certainly almost put my kids through college on the amount of money I have spent on planners alone in my lifetime. So, why do we do this, right? It's sort of putting the cart before the horse kind of a thing, right? So, we see somebody else thriving with it. So, we think, oh, well, then that must work for everybody. And, then there's always the marketing, right? This planner will organize your life or whatever it is that we're talking about. And we think, if I just had the right tool. And doing that is sort of like I'm trying to think of, it's sort of like trying to wear somebody else's prescription contacts, right? Well, yeah, it works great for them, but you don't have the same vision as them. So it's not going to work for you. And why does this seem to, like, when she said that, I was like, oh my God, she's absolutely right about this. And I was wondering why it was hitting me so hard. And I think it's because as a late diagnosed woman with ADHD, I spent literally decades just trying harder, right, to make something work that was never going to work for me. I was trying to do it with the wrong tools. And then we internalize that we are the problem. We're not the problem. Okay? And it's not even that they're the problem. It's just we aren't understanding how our brains work at that point, right? And so, and then of course, then we blame ourselves and then we have shame and blah blah blah, right? But at the same time, like, would you blame yourself if your size 9 foot didn't fit in a size 6 shoe? Of course not. That's ridiculous. But yet, that is exactly what we do to ourselves. We blame ourselves. So, how do we counter this? You need to become a student of your own brain. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. I talk about it on here. I'm talking about it in the podcast. I talk about it in my newsletters. You have to understand how your brain works. And I say that to everybody, like not just ADHD people. Everybody should know how their brain works. You should know how you best learn, for example. I am somebody who learns best by doing. If you sit there and tell me how to do something, good luck with that. That ain't going to go very far. right? Visually, if I watch somebody do it, it might be a little bit better. But overall, I learn better by doing, without question. That is something I know about myself. I also know that one of my biggest challenges with ADHD is out of sight, out of mind. So knowing that that includes people, right? Like if I say, okay, I'm going to get back to that person and I don't, and I keep it in my head, and or if I do, it's going to be, you understand how your brain works when you understand how your energy works, right? All of these things. If you look at what has worked for you in the past, we tend to focus on like what doesn't work, but there are things that have worked for you. And often we don't realize that we can use something that works in one scenario and actually apply it to another one. And also understanding things like what makes you avoid a task, right? What makes you procrastinate? What, is it something that's too big? Is it too boring? Right? Vagueness, that's never good. People with ADHD are we're walking contradictions in a lot of ways. Like, if you want me to do something, don't give me vague instructions, right? And at the same time, don't tell me what to do. That is the constant struggle of my brain, right? So, but when I learned how my energy worked, when I learned that out of sight, out of mind was a big problem, as was all or nothing thinking, with a close runner up after that being the vagueness. I just don't do well with those things. That helped me figure out better systems for myself when it came to productivity and time management, et cetera. And so when I did find a planner that actually worked for me, it was also because I better understood why previous planners had not. And this was one that solved that problem, right? Now, some of you are definitely more of the digital, right? I'm not a huge fan of digital for people with ADHD because we have out of sight, out of mind problems. And we tend to start blowing off reminders and alarms that go off because we have a lot of them that will go off. But if that is what works for you, that's what you need to know, right? So when what Rana talked about was first you need to figure out what your brain needs. And then you go looking for the tools or you create a tool that will work with that versus you buying your 500th planner or digital app and trying to force yourself into a system that really wasn't designed for how your brain works. And I don't know why this was such a mind-blowing thing for me when she said that, but I was like, oh my God, she's right. That's exactly what I've been doing. And I know you have too. So figure out how your brain works. Are you a paper person? Are you a digital? Are you a hybrid? I'm a hybrid. I have to handwrite everything out first, and then I can put things into digital form because I need the reminders for like appointments, et cetera. But I have to handwrite everything out first. My brain just retains it better. Are you visual? Are you verbal, kinesthetic, right? What is the best way for you to do things? As I've mentioned, I learn best by doing. So that tells me something. Are you somebody who likes a lot of detail? Or are you somebody who is more of a minimalist? Too many details tend to get me overwhelmed. So I tend to be more of a minimalist, but that's me. Again, that's me. I know that about myself, which that helps my systems. And the last thing, and she says this as well, like no one knows you better than you, right? You don't need your system doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It can be quote unquote weird to somebody else, but if it works for you, then do it. Who cares what other people think? If it helps make your life easier, if it helps you be more productive, if it helps you communicate better, whatever it is, do it. Okay, you spent your whole life feeling judged by everybody. Who cares at this point if they're still judging you? They're going to judge you anyway. Do the things that work for you because you are the one person in your entire life that you have to live with for your entire life. So, let me give you some examples of maybe a little bit out of the box thinking, right? Putting your top priority on a sticky note that you then stick on your steering wheel. So that when you come out in the car in the morning, you go, oh yeah, I have to stop at this place before I go to work. Right? Um, maybe you do a voice memo, brain dump. Maybe for you, you do better because we are verbal processors. And so maybe for you, just making a voice memo that, nowadays, I think a lot of these voice memo things will also transcribe it for you, which is awesome. I know the Apple Notes app does that. Um, but maybe that's how you get the brain dump out. And then you can, work with that part of it. And again, using a hybrid system. Hybrid is completely valid. Okay. You don't have to do anything any one way. And as I have mentioned in the past, when this stops working, which inevitably, because the novelty wears off, right? Then we maybe need to try a different system. But that doesn't mean you have to throw the whole system out. Sometimes it just means you need to tweak a few things. But remember, always look at all of this stuff through the lens of curiosity, no judgment. All right. No judgment, curiosity. And just act like a detective. Try to figure out the biggest thing for me was learning how much my energy fluctuated, right? I have a lot of energy and a lot of focus in the morning, not so much in the afternoon. So that then changed how I did certain things because I don't want to be trying to do things that really require a lot of attention to detail or attention period in the afternoon when my brain's like, I need a siesta, right? So that alone was a huge change for me. Also, understanding that out of sight, out of mind is a very real problem for me, and that does include people. So I have to have certain guardrails in place for that, right? But that also helps me be productive because then I will remember I actually have to reach out to said person as part of that productivity. Sorry, I got to look at my notes here. Again, notice what you avoid, right? I will avoid anything that is vague. My brain's like, we don't know what we're doing. We're moving on to something else, right? That's me. If it feels too complicated because it hasn't been explained well enough to me in terms of how it needs to be done, etc. Again, there's a bit of that vagueness in there, right? But what does it look like for you? Maybe for you, if it feels like it's going to take too much time, or maybe it just feels too big, or whatever it is, or maybe the task is just boring. We are already at a lack of dopamine. So when it doesn't produce any to do the thing, that doesn't help, right? So that is valid for us. And I want you to also, again, pay attention to things you've done in the past that have worked and ask yourself, okay, was that a one off? Or was that something that I've done kind of regularly and it works most of the time? Where else could I apply that tool? Okay. Figure out how your brain works first, as best you can. And, especially if this is new for all of you, that this is going to take time and these systems will evolve and all of that is okay. All right. I can't stress that enough. You are not going to have a perfect system out of the gate. That's that all or nothing thinking, right? And which is part of perfectionism. So we have to do it perfectly, otherwise we're losers and we failed again and blah blah blah. No, you're trying to figure out. You're throwing honestly with ADHD because it's a spectrum and there is no one size fits all. A lot of it is kind of throwing it to the wall and seeing what sticks, right? It's okay. Who cares? You just got to find what works for you. That's it. All right. So again, remember, your brain is just wired differently. So you just need to figure out what your owner's manual is supposed to say because you got the wrong one when you were handed one at birth. So anyway, so let me know in the comments what are some of the struggles you have when it comes to productivity, right? Maybe it's being easily distracted. Maybe it is out of sight, out of mind. Maybe it is time blind, whatever it is. But also let me know what are some things that have worked for you. Okay. Let me know what worked for you. And also let me know if you have a planner graveyard like I do. Because while I do have one I like now, I have gone through so of them. Anyway, but you do you. And don't worry about what other people are thinking. You do what works for you. Because like I said, you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life and nobody else. So make it work for yourself. All right. So I will be on here next Tuesday. And I'm trying to think of what we were talking about next Tuesday. I don't remember. Go figure. But anyway, it will be amazing. Just ask me. Anyway, have a great week. Please go listen to that episode. You're not going to regret it. Rana is a rock star when it comes to productivity, and she really understands a lot of the struggles that we have, and that's what makes her stuff so good. So check her out. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do like the show, please follow and or comment and or share, because the more we can get it out there, the more ADHD people we can help. All right. So have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.